loves, and we are back with our 30-day hair challenge. And today we will be continuing the topic of alopecia and the different causes of alopecia. And the one we want to discuss now is going to be androgenic alopecia. So, what is androgenic alopecia? Androgenic alopecia is a type known that thins out the hair due to unbalanced hormones known as the androgen hormone. So that's where it gets its name, androgenic alopecia. You will see a pattern of baldness that occurs in male and female, and it often results in receding hairlines with this type of alopecia. So if you see someone with receding hairlines, a lot of times this is why they're suffering from androgenic alopecia. Then you have the traction alopecia. Traction alopecia is hair loss that is due to damaging your hair follicles by repeated processes of tension and stress on the hair. It is a really big, popular and common type of alopecia because a lot of times when you pull your hair tight in ponytails, wear tight braids, all of this is putting traction, pulling tension and stress on your hair, causing you to develop traction alopecia. Frontal alopecia, also frontal fibrosing alopecia. That's the hair loss for the scarring around the forehead area. So it's pretty much the edges. So as you can see, here are some photos of androgenic in the male and then the androgenic in the female. And this is also cicatricial alopecia. It's scarring. It's a scarring alopecia just as the frontal is, but this type not only causes permanent hair loss in a lot of people, it causes scalp irritation and scarring in the scalp of this kind. It is caused by different rare disorders, and the only thing that it does is destroys the hair follicles. So when you talk about destroying the hair follicles, you have healthy cells as well as damaging cells. So those healthy hair cells are attacked, and when they are attacked, just like we do, we go in defense mode. So when those healthy hair cells are attacked by abnormal cells, they go into a defense and attack mode, and they begin to shut off, covering themselves in defense mode and fighting off those damaging hair cells that are not good for your scalp, good for your body, none of that. So they tend to fight back. So when they fight back, they automatically shut down. And when they shut down, this blocks the circulation and blood flow going into your hair and your scalp area. It cuts it out completely. So that's what stunts and keeps the hair from growing. So you need something that's going to stimulate that scalp and get that activity back to moving and circulating properly. So a good stimulating hair oil, foods, you'll be surprised at the foods that contain stimulation as well. So getting the hair to grow properly would require stimulating that scalp to get those hair follicles back opened up, unblocked, and moving properly again. So then there's a picture of, as I just stated, the frontal fibrosing alopecia, which is the scarring around the scalp area. And then the traction alopecia, as we stated, is putting tension and pulling the hair, stressing the hair, tight braids, tight sew-ins, tight, just pulling the hair back in a ponytail very tightly. Even though you're trying to hold it in place, that puts tension and stress on the scalp. And as you can see, it'll take the hair out around the edges, especially. So with this, you see it common in people of color, of course, especially our African American women. And then you have ones that are doing ballerina, gymnastics, military, even sports, and certain jobs you have to wear your hair off your collar so you pull it back in a ponytail. So even whatever you're doing, even though you need to pull your hair back, lightly pull it back so that there's no tightness and you're not putting stress and tension on your scalp. Other reasons that some people develop traction alopecia, as I stated, the tight ponytails. You have heavy locks, your dreadlocks, your locks, and that's one of the stages. And you'll hear my story. That's one of the reasons that I suffered from hair loss. I developed a traction alopecia, not just around the edges, but in my hair, the middle, all around the edges of it. It was bad. So the traction alopecia is something that I developed as well. Um, it can be damaging, but it can be corrected because I did wear short hair for the last 3.5 years, and I decided about 6 months ago to go ahead and say, hey, I'm gonna go back. And I started out really, really short, maybe half an inch. I don't even think it was a half an inch, it was just that short. That I was going to start my process back, and that's what I did. So I'm here to help others, let you know that there is help for you. We will have some young ladies that will come and give their testimonies about how our products has helped them, us going on the hair journey with them and teaching them the do's and the don'ts, how to eat properly, certain things that you need to put in your body, and a lot of people don't realize, and I continuously say this and I stress it. What we put in our bodies, what we eat, what we drink, what we intake in our bodies for our body health is just as important as our hair health. So this is something that I will stress to you guys over this next 30 days. Was a little less than 30 days, but if we're doing really well with this, hey, we will continue this on a weekly basis, even if I drop by just 1 to 2 days a week, just to keep basis and educate and give my people knowledge. All of us, need that education as far as our hair health is concerned, because we don't realize the importance of our hair. We think, okay, we wash it, we good, we don't have to do anything else. No, it's much more than that. So I will probably continue. I know I had a couple that say, well, I know you said you're doing it for 30 days, but would you care to just continue it if there's enough of us who would like for you to continue it? Yes, I will do that. And as I stated, we can do it on a weekly basis, where we can come and educate and we can hear updates on people that are having success with it. So success stories are always good. I know me, myself, if something is working for you, show me. Don't just tell me, because you can tell me anything. I like to see the proof. I like to see the proof, reviews, stories, testimonials, all of those things are important. So I will be happy to do just that because I am very passionate when it comes to the hair health. And I know at one time, I didn't know, even when I found the best of the best beauticians, they grew my hair, but I never knew the secrets to it. So I was blessed by God to give me the vision for that passion that I had, and I've been running with it ever since. So back to speaking on the alopecia. So we do see that there's different types of alopecia, several types of hair loss conditions. So everybody doesn't suffer with the same thing as far as the hair is concerned. Then you have the anagen effluvium. And this results in patchy hair loss. And most of the time, you see this in those chemo and radiation treatment clients because those cells are being damaged, and you have the healthy cells, but some of the healthy cells are getting damaged as well because the chemo and radiation treatment is fighting off those abnormal cells. So when they're getting destroyed, some of the healthy cells suffer as well. So you will see this type of hair loss, anagen effluvium, in most of the chemo and radiation treatment clients. I do have one of my clients as well who joined us on the hair journey about a year ago. And you will be hearing her story and hearing from her as well. How she is a breast cancer survivor. She rung the bell, y'all, and she's a survivor. And when she started coming to me a year ago, she did, it was a little, well, yeah, around a year ago, about a year and a month to be exact. She was completely bald and was told that her hair possibly would not grow back. It's a possibility that it wouldn't, but thanks be to God, we were able to join her in this journey. She found us on TikTok, and we were able to join her in the journey, and I assured her that we would get her back on track. I had absolutely no doubt about it because God had blessed the works of these hands. The works of my hands are blessed, and I am grateful for it. So she will be sharing her story. Hair grew back, and it is flourishing greatly. So you will hear from her. You will hear from my client who suffered with alopecia, and there was no hope for her. According to the doctors, they tried all different kinds of medications, ointments, topical treatments, and nothing worked for her. Her hair grew back as well. We were able to assist her on her journey, and she's been with us ever since. So you will hear her story as well. I have others that did not suffer from any of those. They just were having hard times with getting their hair to grow. You will hear some of their stories and see some of their videos. So I'm excited when it comes to talking about the hair health, and my passion lies there. And I'm just willing to educate all. I don't mind sharing that knowledge with you to get you to where you need to be in your hair health. So as we stated with anagen effluvium, that is a type that comes from most of the time the radiation and chemo treatments because they are harsh to the hair. Also, you have hormone imbalances. So menopause with us ladies as we reach our middle age, we suffer with, you have some that suffer with menopause and that hormone imbalance. You can also have a hormonal imbalance after having children. I know that I did. I had a gap between my babies. My oldest was almost 16 years old, so I had my oldest and the middle, they were 16 and 15 years old when I had another baby. So with that gap, at those ages, it was a little bit much for my body. So those hormones were imbalanced. And as I stated, it had been a while since I had a child. So even when we're going through, even if you're having them back to back or every couple years, every 3, 4 years, every 5, 6 years, however long it is, it can cause the body to have a hormonal imbalance. And some grow hair, some lose hair. It just depends on the body and how your cells are working. So you may have some that lose the hair and some that gain hair. Me, myself, I never lost hair during pregnancy. I gained it, but I know some that actually did lose hair during pregnancy. So even hormones and menopausal symptoms going through menopause, that is another hormone imbalance. So with these, you can tend to suffer with hair loss. So even if that happens, sometimes it may come out a lot and then it just may thin. So even when you get to that stage with the thinning hair, as I stated, you may not lose it all, but it can thin. So we do have some remedies for that. First, we need to know how to stop hair breakage and even things that can cause hair breakage. So, because a lot of times that's where hair loss starts. It starts with the hair breakage. So there's three of the most popular ways for hair to cause breakage, and that is heat damage. Heat damage. Too much heat to your hair can surely damage it and cause it to break off. Whether it's with the curling irons, if you flat iron your hair, if you silk press and straightening, um, drying your hair with the blow dryer, the hair dryer that you sit up under. Too much heat will damage your hair follicles, damage the healthy cells in your hair, and cause hair breakage. I didn't say you couldn't use heat at all, but overusing heat will certainly damage your hair. So you want to limit how much heat that you're putting in your hair. If you have damaged your hair for whatever reason, heat, you need to stay away from it completely until you get it back on track where it needs to be. Also, you can wash your hair too much and pull out that moisture in your hair. When your hair does not contain and hold moisture, enough of it, it can cause breakage. That's where you get that dry, brittle, breaking hair from. So you want to make sure that you keep the hair moisturized on a regular, especially my color treated and chemical, whether it's a relaxer, color in your hair, semi-color, semi-permanent color, bleaching, whatever you're doing to your hair, you want to make sure that you are keeping the moisture in it. If the moisture is not kept in your hair, that can lead to damaging hair cells and follicles, shutting off, and dead hair, shedding. First, it starts with a lot of shedding. A small amount of shedding is normal, especially as seasons change. When it gets hot, when it gets cold, you will see shedding. That's normal. But if it's excess shedding to the point it's coming out in balls, that's not normal. So what you want to do is figure out what you're doing, whether it's something you're eating, putting too much heat in your hair, overwashing your hair and stripping it of all the moisture and nutrients that it needs. You want to get to the root of it and get that moisture back in there and get that hair back healthy. Stress. I like to tell, and I say it all the time, stress, stress, stress is a big one. Stress is big. People don't realize it. Just like stress will do the body harm, it'll do the hair harm as well. Have their hair coming out in balls. I've seen it. So you want to kind of stay away from stress levels. So some of the things that we can do to prevent any breakage or to stop breakage if it is happening, you want to not pull your hair so tight and putting the tension on it when you're detangling your hair. Hair, when it's wet, tends to detangle. That happens to all of us. It's not a specific race that it happens to. It happens to us all. So not pulling and putting tension and stress on the hair when you are detangling it is big. So you want to get a nice, good conditioner and like work your way through. Let the conditioner sit for a minute, work it, let it do its thing, sit for about 10 minutes and start to combing and detangling the hair. So you want to always detangle lightly and nicely and not pull and put stress and tension. Remember, I did say stress and tension is big, but we gotta stay away from it. Limit yourself to how much you're combing and brushing the hair. Overly brushing and combing the hair can damage the hair and cause breakage. Wearing hairstyles that don't require a lot of heat is a plus. So you want to, if you wash your hair and if it's time to wash your hair, not to put heat in it or not so much of it, especially if it's damaged. You want to let it air dry. It's okay to let your hair air dry every now and then, whether you have a roller set, whether you have it wrapped or whatever. If you have your hair wrapped, you want to, like the first 20 minutes, sit out and let it air dry between 20 to 30 minutes. And then you want to sit under a dryer or blow dry it lukewarm. You don't want it hot. You want it just warm. Warm, lukewarm. It will help and it'll keep those hair follicles from being damaged anymore if they're already damaged, or if they're not damaged, it'll keep it from being damaged. You want to do this especially when you have color treated hair, when you have relaxers, so forth, and your hair has become damaged. This is the process that you want to take. You want to use lesser heat and more of the air drying technique, or putting that dryer setting, whether it's a blow dryer or sit under the dryer, on a lukewarm setting. You want to stay away from that damaging heat. As I stated, deep conditioning treatments. Deep conditioning treatments are always good. They're always good. They're always helpful. I like to do a deep conditioning treatment at least twice a month. It doesn't hurt. It can be your regular nice leave-in conditioner, but or you can make your own. And I always have mayo. I'll add mayo and an egg to it, and I make up my own conditioner. So I make up my own to use. But if you want to do that, deep conditioning, whatever conditioner that you have, you can add a little mayo and a raw egg to it, and that will get you where you need to be with that deep conditioning. You get the nutrients, you get those hair follicles that open up, those hair cells moving and circulating, and it helps you to either start back to having your healthy hair process and stops the breakage, or it helps you to maintain the healthy hair process. Also, letting your scalp breathe, that's big. Letting your scalp breathe in between braiding styles or sew-in styles, even just tight ponytail or updo styles. Having a break in between those is much needed in order to maintain healthy hair. After washing your hair, you can try this technique every now and then. When you wash your hair, use an old t-shirt, just a regular t-shirt. The t-shirt is not rough like the towel is, so that tends to help when you're having hair breakage, if you're having hair breakage. So try to use just a regular old t-shirt versus using a rough towel in your hair. As I stated also, again, stressing it, most importantly, let your hair air dry whenever you can. Air drying it. And tying your hair up at night. Satin scarves and satin bonnets will be your best friend. You want the satin versus the polyester or cotton scarves or whatever, tying it down, because they tend to attract hair sticking to it sometimes, and it's not healthy for the hair. With the cotton, the hair can't breathe like it can with the satin, and it tends to damage and break the hair. So using satin bonnets, satin scarves, your hair can breathe in between that. So that's really good for you when you have natural hair. It doesn't even have to have chemicals in it. It's good for the natural hair as well. And we know especially good for any chemical treated hair. So that's good. And last but not least, also, if you're one that is not big with tying your hair up on a regular basis, you can make sure you sleep on satin pillowcases. Me, I tie my hair up. Tying your hair up is much better than just letting your hair be loose, but if it just has to be loose for whatever reason, satin pillowcases is the thing. So my fellas, you can have the satin pillowcases, especially if you can't get that beard to grow out the way you want it to. Sleep on those satin pillowcases and you'll be able to tell the difference after a few weeks or so. And last but not least, as I stated, keep those split ends trimmed. You cut those split ends. Split ends happens and they happen when the hair is growing rapidly. You may have a little damage here and there, but normally it's just overgrowing of the hair cells. It's just spitting it out. So the hair tends to split sometimes when you're using chemicals in your hair. And that's a lot of times when you see that the hair split. The hair splittage is present in chemically treated hair especially, but it can happen to natural hair as well. You'll see a little split end in naturally treated hair, and that's because, like I said, it's growing at different rates. You have, and it just depends. Sometimes the top of the hair grows slower than the back of the hair. Sometimes the sides grow quicker than you will in the middle. It just depends on the person, their genetics, the blood flow that's going into the scalp. All of that plays a part. So you have to keep those split ends trimmed, have to keep those split ends cut. Me personally, trimming them every 2 to 3 months is good. I wouldn't say every time I go to the beauty shop or every time you go to the shop, you get your ends cut. No, no, no. If you're getting your ends cut that often, either your beautician is still happy or you have some damage that's going on and you need to figure out what it is. It could be your foods, different shampoo products that you're using on your hair. It just depends, but you want to figure out why that your ends are just split all the time. Or as I stated the other day, you can be going from one beautician to the next, to the next, to the next, 5, 6 different people in your head because, hey, I got an important function. I need my hair done. Try to stick with one beautician. If you need more than one hairstylist, you need a backup. They need to be on the same page. Everybody needs to know the history of what is going on with your hair. So make sure to keep those ends clipped every 2 to 3 months and you'll be doing good. You'll see the difference with hair being, the split ends being trimmed and split ends not being trimmed. When you have split ends and you don't tend to them, you don't clip them, you don't even the hair out or even those split ends out, it tends to stunt the growth of the hair. So you will notice that if you don't get your split ends cut on a regular, that could be a reason why your hair is not growing as it should. But again, I thank you guys for tuning in. And this is our knowledge today in our 30-day hair challenge. So we went over 3 important oils that are good for you to intake for your hair health as well as the body health. And that is the coconut oil. What's the other 2? Olive oil and avocado oil. We discussed all the many different types of alopecia and the causes for it. And we got into a little bit more of different types of hair loss today and some ways that we can stay away from the breakage of the hair. So stay tuned for tomorrow in our 30-day challenge. You guys have an awesome and amazing day. And remember, as always, make it all count. Bye.